Good morning, everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to have been invited here to share my experience and my knowledge and some tips and suggestions for you to have an empowered job search. Just a bit of my background and how I came to be doing this is I myself have been a newcomer to Canada twice in my life. Once as a young woman and once as an older person, which was about 10 years ago. And so I understand the pains and agonies of looking for a job, no matter how much experience or how much education you have had in the past. And so my intention is for you to learn and apply tools so you get hired for that one job of your dreams. In my role, in my different roles that I perform to help people find that job, I am a professional certified coach. I'm a teacher at Centennial College where I teach employment and career preparedness. And I've been doing that for the last 7 years. And I facilitate workshops for people to learn more than what they already have. So if their skill sets are at one place, I help to take them to another level. And even in these little talks like these webinars in the 1 hour that we have, I hope to take you from where you are today to another level. Maybe you know all of these things, but you needed to hear it again from somebody else. And so in looking at your job search plan, okay, there are so many questions that you need to answer. And if you have a paper and a pencil or a pen with you, although you will have access to a recording, but as you hear me speak, it would help for you to note down some of these questions. And I just came off my teaching assignment this morning, and I was teaching them exactly what I am going to share with you now. That the foundation, the basis of your job search has to be from a premise of knowledge. What do you want to work? Where do you want to work? I mean, what do you want to work at? What kind of job? Do you want to go in logistics? Do you want to go in construction? Do you want to go in fitness and wellness? Do you want to go in retail? Do you want to go in sales? And then once you identify, okay, this is the experience I've had, or this is where I think I'm going to enjoy working the most, then what are the companies out there that I can access in order for me to be able to sell them my skills? Now, no matter what you do, as you set up the basis of gathering all this information, it's time consuming. But in this age of technology, it's all available on the internet. Okay, so you can say, you can Google, let's say, a list of, if you want to work in the hospitality industry, a list of hotels. A lot of these places have their own career section on their website. You can read about their mission. You can read about their values. You can read about how they treat their employees. Ex-employees or current employees also give reviews about organizations that you can read on the internet. And then you can decide, is this the company where I want to work? Is this where I want to be spending 8 hours of my day? Okay, look up on LinkedIn, a person who works there. You can set up an information meeting with them and ask them, what has been their experience working for this company? Are there promotional prospects? Is there training that they give people? What is the culture? What are the benefits? What are some of the in-house initiatives they have for people who come new to the company? Do they have a great onboarding program? What is the management style? What is the dress code? You can ask all of these questions even before you embark on all the tools that you need for an empowered job search. So empowered means that you take responsibility. You are the one who's in control of your job search project. So you need to gather all of this information and keep it, have a special book or a file or a folder on your computer that has all of these information. You can Google top 20 companies. You can Google best paying skills, top 20 jobs in Ontario. There's all kinds of information that's available. And then you can go to various job sites, which you probably already know, Indeed, Monster, see what jobs are available. What are they asking people for? What qualifications? Okay, so I am here today, and this is where I want to go in the next 90 days, in the next year, in the next 12 months. So what's in the gap between here, where I am today, and where I really should be? How do I acquire that skills, that knowledge, that kind of experience? Do I get it from my part-time job? Do I get it by taking a school, going back to college and learning something? Do I get it by talking to people? Do I get it by reading a book? And that's how you start to empower yourself. So empowerment and self-confidence are two things that go together, really. And so the more confidence and belief you have in yourself, the greater is your success in your job search program. So one of the tools, and although I've prepared this, one of the tools that you need for your job search is a resume. The second tool that you need for your job search is a great LinkedIn profile. Okay, these are the two tools. It's like when you walk into a grocery store and you're going in to buy something. Let's say you're going in to buy a box of cereal and you walk down the aisle where they have the cereals. Well, there's so many brands of cereal. There's, I don't know, Post and Kellogg's and Robin Hood and so many types of cereals. You know, there's bran and oats and all the sugar flavored ones that I don't look at, but there's a whole mammoth of choices that you have. So which one do you gravitate to? Which one do you want to go and look at? Well, firstly, your eyes will go to the one that has a nice cover, nice box, nice colors. And then you will read, so what's in it? Is it gluten-free? Is it sugar-free? Does it have these vitamins? Does it have these elements? Oh, okay, so maybe that's the one. And then you look at the price. And then accordingly, you make that decision. But if that box wasn't on the shelf in the first place, you wouldn't even look at it. So it's the same thing with your resume. Right? When you put that resume out, whether it's electronically or you send it individually in an email to somebody, it takes 10 seconds for them to decide whether they want you or not. Just like the box. You take a look at the box or whatever you want to buy. You don't like the look of the box, you don't buy it. It's the same thing. And just think it's only 10 seconds. So you have to somehow capture your best self on this document called the resume. The first contact you have with any employer is your resume. It's not a person contact, but it's something on paper. Hi, my name, you know, they see your name, the job you applied for. Okay, it's like your calling card. First impressions are last impressions, so that resume is your first impression, the 10-second rule. So your resume has to be like a work of art. Remember, you're going to sign your name on this, right? No artist is happy to sign their name on something they've created unless it's what they want the world to see. The same thing about your resume and your cover letter. You're going to be sticking your name on. You're going to be talking about yourself. It's like going on a blank canvas and putting it all out there, right? So it has to stand out. It has to say, hey, I'm number one. I am number one. And here's me. This is how I look. The first impression has to be good. Otherwise, guess what? It just automatically gets filed under G. G for garbage. You don't want to take all that effort and then have it sitting in the garbage. So it's got to look good, pleasing to the eye. So we're looking at formats, we're looking at fonts, we're looking at layout. And you go into, if you have Microsoft, they have amazing formats for resumes. You can Google formats for accounting, formats for marketing, formats for sales. And my students come up with some amazing creative ideas, especially if you're going into marketing and sales. Your resume must demonstrate that you are creative. It should show it right there. If you are an accountant, it will be more of a structured format. Try to make your resume, depending on the years of experience you have, it shouldn't be more than 2 pages. But don't lie or exaggerate anything on your resume. Focus on strengths and accomplishments. One of the biggest mistakes that we make is we write up our experiences and our strengths more in terms of like a job description. I answer the phone, I do this, I do that, I make appointments, I schedule. People don't want to know that they know, let's say you're applying for a job as a customer service rep. It's standard that you answer the phone, you set up meetings, or you travel, you have great people skills, okay? Tell the person who's going to read your employer your achievement, your accomplishment, because that's what's going to remember. Something like you have had 0 complaints from your customers. You have a 50% return rate of customers that come, whether you're working for Tim Hortons or you're working for a bigger company, it doesn't matter. Talk about the friendly manner, talk about people who come by, you engage 50%. Because of your friendly manner, the company profits, because of your efficiencies, the company profits increased by 15 or 20%. You've had 0 absenteeism. These are, put the numbers, you qualify, you quantify. People want to know that. They want to know what they are buying. What is it you are going to bring for their company? They will be willing to buy your services, provided you deliver exactly what they're looking for in the job. Yeah, keep it 2 pages or less. Don't make it too fancy. Don't make it too complicated. It's a document. Remember, it's a document, so it doesn't have to be, even though I said it's a work of art, but it's a work of art of a document. Things that we don't need in Canada, we don't need, photographs, family, health, even references. At the end of your resume, you write references available upon request. Yes, your photograph is needed, but not on your resume. You put your photograph on LinkedIn. So now, while I'm saying all this about resumes, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the interview process. I'm just looking, my phone is flashing. I'm already having people that are here in the audience asking to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's fabulous. Thank you. I will do that after my call. But right now, I just want to say something that's more profound. And here comes your paper and your pencil or pen, whatever you have handy, is that I would like for you to think about, we have the resume as a tool, and then we're going to go talk about the interview process. I'm not going to talk too much about LinkedIn because that would take up the more than the whole hour, how to do your LinkedIn and so on. But right now, I would like for you to think of yourself as that service that you're going to provide in a company. And I would like you to think about 10 power words that describe you the best. 10 power words that describe you the best. Examples of power words, I have mine right up here. I'm adventurous, I'm humorous, okay? I'm tenacious, I have tenacity, I am courageous. Those are words of power. So if you were to think, and I'll explain to you why I'm having you go through this exercise, that you have to write down 10 power words that describe you. So it would be, I am adventurous, I am courageous, I am energetic, I am dynamic, those kind of words. And maybe Amy, if you just have people just put these kind of words in the chat line, and you just call out a few words, that would be great.
Are you seeing the words come up in the chat, Rosemary?
Actually, oh, let me access the chat. Oh, here we go. Courageous, ambitious. I've only seen 2 words. Focused, driven, hardworking, forward-thinking, accountable, detail-oriented, self-motivated, honest. Okay, excellent. How can we take these words up a level? Something that people want to buy, they want to pay for. Okay, so innovative, great, I'm getting it. Critical thinking, dedicated, team working, team leader. Okay, so yes, you could take it up a level. People want at a high level, words that you would use at a higher level. So you might want to, put transformation, that you're authentic, you are good interpersonal relationship, excellent, self-initiator, integrity, you're a leader. Okay, all right. So the reason why I asked for these words is this. This is your homework. I won't be around to check up on your homework, but if these 10 power words are your words, right, for yourself, how you did describe yourself, I urge you to write them on, all 10 of them, on several pieces of paper. Put them where your computer is, put it where your desk is, put it on your mirror, put it in your purse, put it in your wallet, put it somewhere. Look at it and emulate it, because whatever it is you say you are, you have to exude it, you have to show it. I'm courageous, I'm adventurous, I'm a risk taker, I'm happy, I'm organized. All of that should be coming out of you, exude it, So you have to show it from the inside to the outside. And when you start doing that, all of this will show up in how you choose to write your cover letter on your resume, and it will also show up in the interview. So I would say then what this contributes to in really having an empowered job search, the real key to having that empowered job search, you only need one thing, is to have a positive attitude, because it's that attitude that's going to take you to where you want to be. And to have that positive attitude, you start having a high self-esteem, you have high self-confidence, and then who doesn't want to have people that are that way around them? Because in the end, the paperwork, the qualification, you can have a PhD, you can have however many degrees and certificates, but if you're not able to bring it into the workplace and share it with your team or an organization, it's of no use. So this, what becomes you, the positive things. I'm energetic. It should show from the way you walk into the room. It should show the way you show up, even if it's, let's say, a virtual interview. It should show up right there, Remember, first impressions are last impressions, right? So if that's what they're looking for, they want somebody that shows that in every way. So the one thing that you need all the time is a positive attitude. Just remember that it's like when you're driving a car, your eyes will go in the direction in which you steer your car, right? So if your mind is going in the direction of negativity, you also tend to go that way. So it's important to be focused, maybe sometimes to be tunnel visioned in your job search program, but to empower yourself, there's just one thing that you need, and that's your attitude. It's your positive attitude, because it will show up in everything that you do in your job search program. It will show up in the way you speak to a potential customer. It will show up in the way you write out your resume. It will show up in how you show up in other interviews or other meetings, because a job search is like, it's kind of like a full-time project. You never know where that job is going to come from. And then when you have this positive attitude, you also open up the universe to bring you exactly what it is you are looking for. Any questions for me so far?
Yes, there are 2 questions in the Q&A.
Yes, I'm looking at that.
Great.
I have multiple university studies. I would like to know if I need to homologate my degrees. Does that mean verify your degrees as to how they evaluate in the Canadian? Is that what homologate means? Who is it? Ignacio Valencia. Oh, he can't speak. So you can enter it in the chat. How much value added to our resume when we add LinkedIn learning certificates? I encourage all my students to do as many LinkedIn certificates as they can. At Centennial College, it's for free. You can do, I do LinkedIn learning because it's an easy way that you learn from the experts, all these different things. It shows your own willingness for continuing education, your own desire to learn and do better. And I would just say, in not today's world, every world, even my world, I continue learning and getting certificates, even for my own coaching practice. Things change all the time. There's so much out there, books and courses and literature. And so for us, we can never take our foot off the brake. It's continuous learning and continuous learning. So yes, the LinkedIn is great. What if we keep applying and nothing, like how long should this positive attitude last? Okay, that's a good question. You can keep applying, but you have to ask yourself, so why am I not getting a response? Learn from the situation. Am I not putting the right words in my resume? What's wrong with my format? Get some feedback. I think you have people at ACCESS that can help you with that. So what's wrong? Am I not using, is it not showing what I'm really looking for? Is this what the market wants? Okay, maybe you go for, we'll talk about the interviews after, but yes. Somebody's asking for a template resume. You can just go into your Microsoft, when you open a document, there's so many templates there on Microsoft that you can access that very easily, very, very easily. Okay, so the template, and you will choose a template that suits you the best. So it's going to speak about you, not about anybody else. Okay, there'll be several templates that you can choose from. There's not one, it's not one size fits all kind of idea. You will choose a template that suits you the most. The learning sites. We talked about LinkedIn is the only learning site that I talked about. LinkedIn Learning. That's the only one. Okay, in fact, LinkedIn Learning also has a program. It's called Rock Your LinkedIn. It teaches you how to do your LinkedIn profile. It's amazing. Okay, and not only, see, and Amy has put a site where you can come to ACCES and take a look at that. Okay. So now we're going on to the interview. It's an interview. People are going to see you now, hear you. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, they say, right? So what is the purpose? Can somebody tell me in the chat, what was the purpose of the resume? And if you know, what is the purpose of the interview? What is the purpose? Foot in the door. Excellent, Swaraj. Purpose of the resume is to get an interview. Interview, correct. There is no other purpose of the resume. The resume is not going to get you a job. The resume is going to get you the interview. First step. And that's why that's the first impression, your first contact with the employer. And what's the interview going to do? The interview is going to get you the job, of course. So how are you going to get the job? Purpose of the interview. I have lots of slides here. I might speak to some of them and not all of them, but here I've got prepare for the interview, you research the company, you get the questions, you get the answers. We know all of those things. But this is what's so important here, okay? When you're doing the interview, and I don't know if ACCES uses, my students use this app called Big Interview. It's a great app. It might be a little expensive for some students because I think it's you get it for $100. But my students have access through the college. But Big Interview, it has all the kinds of questions in there, and it gives you feedback because you practice answering, and there's a camera. It will tell you you're not smiling enough, you're not sounding good enough, you're not having eye contact, there's no body language. It's great. But let's go with the packaging is 45%. Packaging has nothing to do with the resume. What packaging do you think they are talking about here? What is the packaging that they are talking about here? The packaging is, okay, personality is the inside. The packaging that they can see. Okay, your outfit, your presentation, excellent. Right, that is the packaging that they are looking for here. So how you dress, how you have made up yourself. Are you looking like a schoolgirl or like a woman who wants to get into the workplace? Are you looking like a schoolboy? Or are you, are you clean? Are you hygiene? You wear nice colors so that in the light you show up the best. You will find those colors yourself. My advice to my students in that packaging, you need to wear something that looks formal. An interview is a formal event. I'm not saying you must always wear a jacket, always wear a tie, same thing for the women, that stuff. But in that packaging, you know what makes you look the best. You look in the mirror. Your responsiveness is that you don't take forever to answer a question. You know, you're prepared. You're willing to share. You're so proud of your life, of yourself, of your accomplishments, all the things you've done in your life so far, that you respond right away. You respond with a smile. You respond with eye contact. You use body language. You use your hands, okay, to express yourself. And then, of course, your experience, just think, is 10% and the others are 10%. So which of these are under your control? Okay. I got news for you, okay, that the interview, we think that the interviewer is the person in charge of the interview. But I got news for you. The interviewer is not in charge of the interview. You are, because you are going to communicate whether you are right for the job or not. The interview also has two purposes, right? One is for you, you wanna see and you wanna share all the things you have to offer, but you are also going to verify, is this the company I want to work for? And the interviewer is going to determine whether, yeah, the company needs you or not. So it's a two-way street. So when you're, you're getting the interview, you prepare for the interview, you give the interview, you follow up in 4 stages, right? But just remember that you are the one that controls the interview. From the minute you come online, from the minute you walk in the room, you take charge because you are center stage. It's just like when you go to the theater, you watch a concert, who is in control of that event? All the actors on the stage. Who isn't, like right now, I'm in control because I'm speaking, right? So when you're in the interview, it's also a presentation. You are the one who's going to create those thoughts and images in the mind of the interviewer about whether you are a worthy candidate or not. Just remember, you are always worthy. You are always worthy and deserving of the job. You decide whether you want to work for that company or not. If they've called you for an interview, you are a serious candidate. Okay? If they call you for an interview, you are a serious candidate. How you convey your worthiness to them is all up to you. Okay? So here's just a list of places and, the things you need to find out before you even, when you start, whether this is where you want to work, the history of the company. So 75% of the interview now is based on your appearance and how well you present yourself. So how do you do that? Look in the mirror. If you like, you love how it is you are looking, how you are showing up, that's okay. You want feedback, you ask people. Like when I came on the call today, Amy immediately remarked to me that this color looks good on me. Then I know, oh, this is the thing I should wear when I'm doing presentation because this color looks good on me. I got that feedback. So same thing with you. Somebody tells you that looks good on you. You look fantastic and you look very professional. Or that looks like a great interview shirt or a tie or a blouse or whatever. That's what you should go for. Okay, so it's that first impression. They see how you look. Then when you open your mouth, that's how you present. When you open your mouth and you start presenting, okay, tell me about yourself. So we have to watch for that question, the tell me about yourself question. It's a very difficult question because we're not used to talking about ourselves. The question is not walk me through your resume. Most people, when they are asked the question, tell me about yourself, they start with the resume. I worked here, I did this, etc. No, tell about you, really, you as a human being. That's what you're there in the interview for. They've read your resume. They know what you have done, your qualification and your skill. The tell me about yourself is more about you. That's not in the resume, right? What you like doing. What job was the best job? Maybe a little bit about where you grew up. I just want to caution newcomers to Canada when you are doing the tell me about yourself. We're so used to starting the interview with, my name is Rosemary Fernandez. No, you don't start with that because your name is already on the resume. They know who you are. It's on that piece of paper. So tell me about yourself is not tell me your name. I know your name. Tell me about yourself is who you are. Avoid using language like back home. Back home, I did this. Back home, I did that. Because when you say back home, it means your mindset is still back home. This is your home. That's why you're looking for a job here. Okay, this is your home. You could say in my home country or where I come from rather than the back home language, right? You could say I graduated in my home country from da 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 da, and over there I worked in such and such place, and over there the practice was to do da da da. No back homes, because right away they think, uh-oh, still back home, the mind is home. They're going to stay a little while and then they're going to go back home. They're still attached to back home. I know it's a difficult transition to make, but it's something that we need to convey when in that tell me about yourself. And you can say, you know, I've always had a passion for XYZ. That's a good way to start and tell me about yourself because you're talking about your heart. I've always had a passion. Ever since I had finished high school, I was really interested in accounting because numbers tell a lot of stories. You can make them, you know, they tell you about the progress of a company, where a company is doing well, where a company is not doing well. And then management can decide where they want to focus their attention. And so I pursued a qualification in accounting. Somebody asked me a question where they don't have any relevant degrees in accounting, and that's okay. You can still be a big asset in an accounting department and say, this is what I can do. I'm a support person in an accounting department, and this is what I do really, really well because I've been doing it for the last 5 years. Why do you want to work for this company? Because I went on your website and I discovered that your mission is this. I discovered that in your core values, you really support diversity and inclusion. You have programs. I saw on your website that people get promoted easily. You know, that you have these kind of benefits for people and so on. Now, while I have shown this picture in the Dress for Success for Men, it's what used to be the old school image, the old school conservative image. But I would still recommend you don't need to wear a three-piece suit and a kerchief in your pocket, okay? But I do suggest wearing like a light colored shirt. Red and black for guys is not kind of like, it's more like an entertainment shirt. It's not an interview shirt. Okay, and you know, be conservative, wear a tie, make sure that you're really well groomed. Okay, and if you're going to do an in-person, it's strongly recommended. It's the same for women. Avoid colognes and perfumes because some work environments are perfume free. People have all kinds of allergies to fragrances and smells, so not encouraged. And see, so that's why it says that you must have the attention of the interviewer on what you have to offer and the words and how you say it. So we have conservative colors for the women, again, light makeup. Don't wear jewelry that's going to distract your interviewer. Okay. Black jackets, navy blue, but you can wear some nice colored shirts. Those are what's recommended to wear for the interview. So now I teach my students, and listen closely to this, the first impression and the last impression in an interview is this. If it's an in-person or if it's online, make sure that you show up and you're bright and cheerful and you have lots of good light around you, so you look like you're really prepared to have this conversation, this meeting, this talk, the interview. When you're going to meet in person, we make this joke when we're doing this in person, is that I tell my students, you have to walk in like you just came out of the gym. there's energy, there's vitality, there's happiness, there's a positive mind. Okay, your eyes have to say, I'm happy to be here, you're smiling. And if you feel you can have a really nice positive handshake. If you're going to do the handshake, and now with COVID and stuff, we don't want to do handshakes, we're doing, this, or nobody's doing handshakes, so maybe we should leave it out. But if you are, it should be a firm one, not a little wimpy one, okay? That tells a lot about your level of self-confidence. Okay, so you have to look like, energetic, upbeat. I'm here. I'm here because I'm ready to work. I'm ready to take on anything. Your body and your mind and facial expressions have to exude those 10 power words that you wrote a little earlier. That's the first impression. Okay, and then the interview goes on and they ask you questions. Make sure you have eye contact, like you move your head, even if it's virtual, with everybody that's there. And then the last impression is so important. The last impression is important because that's what they're going to remember. You've got their attention with the first impression, and you come in high energy, ready to start, ready to tell about yourself, ready to share your star stories through the interview and so on. And then is the last impression, when it's kind of the end. That's more important than that first impression. And so the last impression has to be just as enthusiastic as when you started. Even if you got a bad feeling about the interview, it's only your bad feeling. It may not be the bad feeling on the interviewer. You leave with the same enthusiasm. You ask the questions. I would love to work in this organization. What are the opportunities for career development? What kind of training programs do people typically take over here? Is this job a new job? Is it something that you will give me training on? Will there be somebody that will overlap so that I can learn from them? How do the teams work? What is the actual retention rate of employees in this department? Or do we have performance appraisal? You can ask all these questions like you're really interested in the company. And then at the end, say, that's it. I don't have, when will you let me know? When will be this decision? When do you think I can hear from you? But please don't get into your asking, so my salary, and this is what I want from the salary. Don't get into numbers. If they ask you, so what kind of salary are you looking for? You would say that, I'm sure that the company has a compensation policy and a salary in mind for this job. And I'm sure that it is quite competitive, but I'm pretty sure that if you were to give me this job in 3 months' time, you will have no regrets, and I will prove to be one of your best employees. So you divert your answer a little bit. You don't have to be specific. If they ask you, so what were you making in your last job? You can say that my last job was just a step-in job, but I've gained so many years of experience by working with them that I'm looking forward to a competitive salary in this job. So there's no rudeness, there's no harshness, but they haven't stuck you to a number. Okay, just a clever way to divert. Before I go on, you like the color orange. Okay, what other questions? Thank you for the comments on my color, on the color. Okay, so what creates a good impression? I just told you all the high energy. What creates a bad impression is, you've come disheveled, like you just got rolled out of bed, or you're giving the interview out of your bed. No. Negative attitude, no energy, no interest, not asking great questions, even when they're talking and they ask you a question. So what's your biggest strength? Or what were your achievements? Say, this is what I did. You have your star story. I'm sure you've learned to do a star story: situation, task, action, and result. Your answers to that. And then you can always say, like, so what is the practice in this company? Don't feel bad to ask a question of the interviewer. even though they are the ones asking. You don't feel, get into a dialogue. They want to test your interpersonal skills. How do you speak when you're on the job? You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to get information. Show them some of that, those skills right there in the interview. Okay? You're not prepared. You don't know what the role is. Failure to give concrete examples. You must have at least 4 to 5 examples of skills in your pocket. You know, like Clint Eastwood draws the gun, he's ready to shoot, pow. You should have these in your pocket. Oh, you want to know about how I handle conflict? Oh, you want to know how I've had handle stress? Or you want to know how I problem solve? Or you know how, whatever. You got it all there. All the strengths that you say in your resume, you have to prepare examples for them because they will ask you that in the interview. They're more interested in the soft skills than the hard skills. The hard skills, they can always make you do a test, but the interview is a measurement of this. Okay, so no money. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You should be able to answer that also. Okay, so here, leaning forward, smiling, open arms, relaxed. You know, your feet are on the ground, you look confident, you nod, you're attentive, you're alert, you have eye contact. What you don't do, don't interrupt the interviewer, don't have your mobile phone ringing in the middle of the interview. Don't say my previous employer was so nasty, don't say ill about other people. Don't be talking like as if you're just telling a joke to one of your friends, and don't share any secrets. And don't lie. Again, don't ask about salaries and stuff like that. So you know the STAR method? Whoops. I think at ACCESS they might, but you can Google what is the STAR method of answering questions. There's some beautiful videos in how to tell a story. Storytelling is the biggest way of conveying your strengths. The other question is, you might ask me, so how do I tell them my weakness? There's no such thing as a weakness. Okay, so don't even use that word. There's no right or wrong. 2 W words that you don't use, wrong and weakness. There's only areas of growth and development, but there's no such weakness because we can learn anything that we want to learn. Here are some examples for questions you can ask. You know, which I just shared with you a little while ago. And you must, at the end, you must send a little thank you. Within 24 hours, you can mail it, you can email it, handwritten. Okay, that shows your courtesy and, so, you know, your social skills. They will remember you for all these things. Some other tools for you is to keep a log of every interview, every resume that you send out. Analyze. Over there, I was nervous. I didn't answer this question well. I need to improve it. Okay, and I have to say that, I hate to say it, but if you had to think about, if you went out to buy a car, would you buy the first car you saw? Okay, the salesman is trying to convince you, you think about it and so on. It's the same thing even about interviews, okay? So in some companies, they do one interview and maybe they reject, but some companies might require 3, 4, 5 interviews. And that's okay. Because each time you present in an interview, it's a learning opportunity and you need to reflect on, so what did I do well? I felt comfortable in this kind of clothing. That story, when I looked at the interviewer, he really liked that story. I should save that story for, this is how I show my skills over here and there. So you have to, there's no magic. It's a skill that's learned and improved. And okay, that was the end of I went so fast. That was the end of what I wanted to share with you today. And now I am happy to do some, I'm looking at the questions in the Q&A. Can you give me a few tips to get attention of my resume from the employer? Somebody looking at it. Well, I talked about getting a good template. Okay. What is the recommended dress code for a? I would say just pretend you're going for a face-to-face, whether it's virtual or not. Just wear the same thing as if you were going fair, as if you were doing face-to-face. I have a question. How do you answer the where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, there's no one answer fits all, but really you want to demonstrate that you want to be with this company in the next for the next 5 years. So you would say that you would like to build a career in the company where you get employed and hopefully move from one level to another by learning, by taking courses, and by contributing to the productivity and performance of the organization. And so that's where you see yourself. In resumes, do you prefer to, you can put color, but I would use like a navy blue rather than black and white to use color. Access employment is typing an answer. Okay. All right.
I think you just got a question in the chat area too.
Yeah, I see. Do we need to bring some documents like photos? They don't need a photo because they can see you anyway face to face. But I would recommend that you take a copy of the resume that you sent them with you so that you make sure there's no harm in having a notebook or putting your hands. If it's if you're going face to face, you can put your notebook or your resume on the table and you can glance at it all the time because there's some things you may not remember, and that's okay. You can tick it all off. If you're doing it virtual, while it's there in front of you, you must have your resume with you when you go. Have it printed, not on ordinary your printer paper, the white paper. Keep an extra copy that's on nice paper, and you can even share it with the interviewer when you go. It's on nice paper that you can get from Staples, resume paper that you hand in at that time. I'm just seeing, did I miss any questions here? Okay. That was a mouthful I gave you with this time.